Hey guys, it's Theo here with another wacky video. I'm going to talk about my autism / aspergers and how I dealt with it. Or more accurately, how I progressed so far. Since, let's be honest, I'm probably cringe in ways that I'm not really aware of. Though I would say that I've overcome the obvious in the sense that I'm able to have conversations without people really noticing in the short term, at least, and not really having much of an anxiety when I'm talking in public, for instance. This isn't necessarily talking on a podium, but I would say more so engaging in conversations that normies are expected to do. Though I find neurotypicals that I do interact with actually being higher inhib. So I'm definitely missing something that I'm not really aware of, as I said earlier. Since although I did nail down the obvious, I'm neglecting this entire section of my social skills. And just from what I've experienced so far, I would assume that people are on different levels in that progression between being totally cringy in every aspect and somewhat being less cringy, since in hindsight, I do remember having a lot of social anxiety when interacting with people in general, and most of my progression has been made in that department. And I'm not gonna tell you guys to just follow these 10 steps, bro, since I'll be honest, developing your social skills isn't necessarily something that you do on your own, especially if you've been lagging behind your age group as far as your social competency level is concerned. Since, let's be honest, if you're engaging in any social circle, you're expected to embody certain skills. And not being able to engage in small talk, for instance, will get you in a position where you will be singled out as the weirdo, despite them not saying so. Since, let's be honest, people are inclined to lie to you just to make you feel better temporarily. Though this never helps you learn of your inadequacies in the long run. Though I will say that when you do interact for a long period of time, you will learn very slowly. But the problem usually is if you're able to get into that group in the first place and how long they're willing to tolerate you. This may sound like a really weird analogy, but if you're a loner like me and you've played MMOs for a very long period, you'd probably come across this at some point. Like, you're trying to progress in an MMO, right? And you require a certain gear set, something you would have to farm for a long period of time. But the problem is, in order to actually get accepted into a dungeon group, you need that gear piece to begin with. So you see the paradox there, right? And this applies to developing your social skills as well. Since in order to practice them, you kind of need to be competent enough to at least be accepted into a group and given permission to interact. And not doing that, aka spending all your time playing video games or spending time alone, isn't necessarily going to get you any progress. I'm not discouraging anyone to spend time alone, but I'm saying that you do need to interact to develop that skill. So yeah, all this crap about, oh, just talk to people on the internet, bro. Just talk to people. Give me a break. There are so many people like this in the furry community, and even beyond, being given useless advice, which in turn makes them miserable. Like, for a lot of people, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. It may come from a place of ignorance. With few exceptions, neurotypicals progress through life, more or less being able to engage in social situations normally. And if they give the advice, just be yourself, it may make sense for them, since intuitively they already know how to engage in social situations in the first place. Though I would judge influencers within the community with a lot more scrutiny, since everyone hangs by their every word, which would result in a lot of people either making very stupid decisions or ignoring an issue. And to circle back to the original point, I'll explain how exactly I came to this conclusion. I remember in middle school, initially, I was in this class where people with ADHD or aspergers and whatnot would essentially learn how to socialize effectively. I would take this along with my normal classes, but to be honest, it wasn't necessarily a place where I would learn to socialize analytically, as in the teacher directly showing you how to act in certain situations, but was more so a place where I could actually talk with people of similar social skills. Since none of this is typically learned directly, it's usually through some kind of experience. And in this situation, I wouldn't really have these same expectations imposed upon me. So if I did act inappropriately, I would at least have some level of leeway. And to be quite honest, that was kind of the only place where I was able to make friends. And during the latter part of high school, I thought I felt socially capable, so I tried to leave that class as soon as possible. But at the time, I didn't really have the self-awareness to actually realize that this class was actually a social net of sorts. And for the 2 years I was away from that class, things just deteriorated progressively. I tried to cope in certain ways to get over the loneliness. I guess this is kind of a meme, but if the only people that you talk to are the teachers, then things are just going south, generally. Like, pretty much the only person I talked to was my art teacher, and this is when my obsession with drawing started. I was always drawing to some degree, but I was at a point where I was filling a sketchbook every month just to improve my skills. So I pretty much went from barely being able to make legible pencil art to being able to draw the character sprites I'm using, for instance. So given that, shortly after, I kind of just went back during my last year. But the thing was, I was able to get that exposure during then, since I was able to interact with others on a regular basis. And yeah, after that, during my first year of college, my first semester, I was kind of at square one again, no one to really talk to. And the other people within the dorm room didn't really talk to me that much. They were in their own clique day one, so I didn't really have that many options, so I pretty much resigned myself to online communities. So basically the point is, I was able to get that exposure in the first place, which allowed me to develop socially. And I guess that's all I have to say for now. So thanks for watching. If you've been able to endure the video to this point, then I congratulate you. And if you want, comment and subscribe. Or if you want to chat, I'll put my Discord in the description below.